like once you got in, like talk about that experience of like for people who are interested in potentially one day starting their own business, like what did you actually get out of that YC experience? And like what was the biggest difference that being YC made for Captivate IQ in those early days?
Yeah, for sure. So, man, I go on like a whole podcast on YC.
Where
So quick.
episode 2 and episode 3 and
Yeah. I don't know how to build a startup. Maybe I'll at least give some quick context, which is Conway actually went through Y Combinator already
oh, was
through
it
his first startup. So
with
he
5?
technically with 5 stars, and so he already was an alumni. We got access to some of the resources already, and so we had a decision point. Look, this is before like getting in, so it's not like we were not trying to get ahead of ourselves, but you never know. And so for Y Combinator, we asked ourselves, and look, to give some sense of like why it's not an obvious decision. They take 7% of your company for back then $120,000.
Yeah.
And argument is even more harder to think about if you already have access to those resources. Like, what is that 7%? That 7% in theory is a lot less valuable. And so, as I mentioned earlier, startups is really fucking hard. I'm of the mindset you're just going to want to maximize the probability as much as you can. You want to cheat the system as much
Yeah.
as you can, because death is literally right behind you. And your company is most likely not going to succeed. Like that's just, again, probabilities. Okay. If our probability increases like 1%, like maybe we take that option
Yeah.
versus like, let's be so selfish about this. And so we, Conway and I and Hubert had some back and forth, and then we're like, yes, like we're going to need all the help, especially if it's going through the second time around. And honestly, I think in retro, we're very glad we did it. I can't understate how profound of an experience going through Y Combinator is. Now, I'll preface, it's not for everyone. I've met founders where they're like, I don't know what I got. This wasn't worth it. I don't know what I got out of it, et cetera, et cetera. Yeah, there's those companies too. And they're probably, there's a lot of reasons for why it didn't work out, where they're really ready for Y Combinator. Because it is metaphorically, it's like a race. Gun goes off, you're getting ready for demo day. You have 12 weeks. There's no stopping. It's like, if you're not ready, or yeah, it's pretty nuts. So what did I take away? I counterintuitively, not what people would naturally guess what we all took away, which is demo day and getting to a seed round. That's obviously a bigger part to it. But in retro, a lot of it was this experience of seeing other co-founders.
Yeah.
I mean, you're with some of the smartest people out there who are all mission aligned, creating the next startup and making it successful, solving a very big problem. And so you're in this room and it's like first day of college, you're looking around, you're like, these people are fucking brilliant. And, they're just like, some of them are top of their class. Some of them are like math Olympians. And you're just like, I don't know if I fit in here. I'm like, I'm a college student. I'm like, do I belong in this room? And
But that's how you know you're in the right room, right? Like that's how you know you're in the room. Like seriously. Because like if you ever in a room, you're like, I'm the smartest guy here, that's probably not the room you want to be in.
Totally. Yeah. I mean, you're right. It's just, you just get pushed. And then, so that's part of it. There's this culture of like, okay, we're all like, you're with your peers now, right? You're not by yourself. You're in this peer group. So we're winter 2018. And there's some great companies that came out of that batch too. But so that's part one. Part two is like, man, Y Combinator, one of the things that they're just so fantastic at is pattern recognition. I resonate with that a lot. I think that's I like to believe is a superpower for me is pattern recognition. YC sees so many companies live and die, and like frankly die more often than not. I think the stat is like back then it was like they funded 1,600 companies, only like 80 were still alive. It's like really kind of staggering, right? And so some of the things for that pattern recognition were like became quotes like build something people want. It sounds like a duh thing, but you'd be surprised how you forget that, especially as you get bigger. If you're lucky enough to get bigger than 3 people in the company, that can easily start to fall off. Another thing is build things or do things that don't scale. Sounds counterintuitive, but my goodness, like that is a principle even to this day we live and die by. And there's many, 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 many other examples, including just the concept of the journey itself for Y Combinator, which is you're just getting comfortable with ugly and like you're like, to be honest, like our product sucked. What can you really put together in what is it, 12 weeks?
Yeah.
You're not going to build a world-class software in 12 weeks. And look, some companies cheated the game because they already had a software they've been working on for the last like years. We are truly like, we didn't have anything. We really like started V2 at the start of Y Combinator, and like we finally got our first set of contracts 8 weeks in. Like that journey itself is survival. It's like it's the equivalent of being in the forest with two other compadres and being like, survive, do whatever it takes. I'm giving you like a butter knife, survive. And to this day, that principle is a reason why people say like founders are built differently. I completely agree with this. I can go on a whole separate tangent, which is when you only have a butter knife in the middle of the Denali, you're going to do some pretty like crazy things. You're going to cheat the system. You're going to hack the system. You're going to do whatever it takes. You're going to be selfless because it's do or die. I'm not going to like care what things look like. I'm going to like, I'm going to reach out to people I don't know. I'm going to reach out to my network. You're going to go ham to just make this go somewhere. Yeah. And that skill set, the reason like that's so important is to this day, we're a multi-product company now. And I remember having this conversation with the product team because they're like, oh, this is just like funny, but they're like, can I release this product? Like, what if we hurt our brand? Because it's so shitty of a product. Oh my God, like we can't release it. We're going to release this next year. And I sat down and I was like, fuck no, we're releasing this. Like the moment we feel like this baby is ugly, that means it's good time. Like we're ready. Counterintuitively, when we feel like the baby is not ugly, we took too long. Yeah. If we feel the baby is ugly, we're ready to go and put it in front of a customer and get the reaction. Yeah. And it's so true because even my biggest enterprise customers were Tidal, Expedia, you name it. So these big names, they're like, this is why we bought you guys. The fact that you guys are innovating, the fact that you guys have a bigger direction. Those are some of the life lessons I learned from Y Combinator that are just like, man, you kind of have to live it, and it's reinforced with, I get it now.
There's so many things you said that resonate with me. Obviously, I've never been through Y Combinator. In a way that I see a lot of parallels between that model and kind of what I'm doing at Wall Street Mastermind with students, which is like, to your point, you said like starting a startup is so freaking hard. It's like anything that could increase like the probability of success. Like, why would you not want that? Right. And like, it's the same thing for students that recruit. Like sometimes, shameless plug, but sometimes I see, we encounter students and they're like, well, I'm going to try to do this on my own first and see if I can get in. And then like, if it doesn't work, then maybe I'll come back later. And I'm like, why are you trying to make it harder? So you can like save a little bit of money right now. It's like, the thing is like, if you come back later, it might be too late for me to help you get in. And also like, if I help you get in, what you're paying me right now is going to be immaterial compared to the increase in earnings that you're going to have for the rest of your career. So like, what are we talking about right now? Right? It's like, you could have, I don't want to give up the 7%, but like if CaptivateIQ actually becomes a real thing and you have to only own 93%, it's like, that means you won. Like, what are we complaining about?
Yeah. You're focusing on the outcomes and you're like what's 100% of zero versus like, oh, I gave up 7%. And like now we have a little bit more of a trajectory and everything that goes along the way. So yeah, like it's some of these things, like some people get caught off on the right priorities. And look, I get it. So there's people who do it other ways, but like there's so many things that are really hard in life. And you just have to ask yourself, do you want this to be harder or do you want this to be easier?
And it's not even to say that you guys wouldn't have succeeded without Y Combinator. You could have still succeeded, but that might still just mean that you could have been even more successful on a relative basis if you did have, you know what I'm saying? So it's just like, it's not binary. Like the outcome is along a spectrum, right?
Yeah, totally.
Yeah,
that's right.
And I think what you said is like, yeah, sorry, go ahead.
No, and I was going to add, like, look, one thing that's hard to appreciate is like we're looking at from an economics perspective, but that journey itself, like I kid you not, we're just shot 300 employees. Those principles, those like build things that don't scale, like we literally say that all the time. Like Conway shared this in an all hands as recent as like maybe a month or two ago, which is build something your customers want. It's like, it's so funny how pattern recognition, like how good YC is at this stuff, that to this day, we still credit a lot of our belief system, our value system
Yeah.
to the things that we learned. And I think it is making us a better company. And probably the same thing back over. You've learned things that like, look, you could do it yourself, or there's things that you know that's just going to make you better. That actually might even change to who you are as a person. And you may be missing out on the opportunity by trying to do it solo. Like, you're now making it even harder for yourself to grow and develop.
I think pattern recognition was like the other thing I was gonna say that really resonates, because it's like, yeah, like we have students that try to do it themselves, and then it's like, or our team has done this 2,000 times, and we have a lot of patterns that we recognize in terms of like, for you guys, the startups that succeeded, not, and for us, it's like students that got offers and didn't get offers, and we can tell you like, do this, don't do this, do this, don't do this. And a lot of that stuff is not stuff that you can just figure out on your own without the reps, without the experience, right? And so like by joining something like Y Combinator or any sort of, let's call it a mastermind, because that's kind of what Y Combinator is too. It's like you're benefiting from the arrows in other people's back. You're benefiting from all the learnings and all the mistakes that have already been made by the people that came before you, so that you don't have to pay the same price twice. You don't have to make those same mistakes. And that's invaluable, right? And then I think like just being in the right room, like to your point, like the network effect, like a Y Combinator, where you're meeting all these other super smart founders, you have like imposter syndrome. You feel like you probably don't belong there. Um, it's hard to get into those types of rooms. And if you can get into those types of rooms and build out your network and meet people, and you just never know how those people might, oh, one, what you might learn from those people, but two, like how those connections might come back around down the road. And, maybe like they become your next
Totally.
customer, or they become your next partner, or your next co-founder for your next thing. I don't know if there's a next thing for you, but like, you know what I'm saying? So it's just
Yeah.
like your network is your net worth, right? And so
Yeah.
that is like,
It's very true. It's very true. I mean, many of those people in my cohort, one, they're building very successful companies. Not all of them. We have 140 batchmates, and I can only think of maybe 8 or 10 that are still around. So again, going back to the power law, there's really not a lot of companies that survive being a startup. There's so many things working against you. But those that did, I'm good friends with, or their customers. There's a theme that you're probably hearing or everyone's hearing as a current or overarching theme, which is opportunities. Like, opportunities are going to present itself. Are you someone that turns away an opportunity because of other reasons? Or are you someone who embraces it and being like, look, I have opportunity to better myself, opportunity to better the chances of success, an opportunity to meet more folks. Like, these things, if crafted well and you're thinking carefully. I mean, I've seen some people where, there's this concept of like, if you're 1% better every day, your trajectory is off the charts over time. The law of compounding.
Yeah.
Like, that's probably a principle I truly appreciate. I think in some parts I've tried to live up to that indirectly, but that is such a true statement in hindsight. If you can live your life with this concept of 1% better every day, oh my God, just imagine what that looks like very, very, like 5 years later, 10 years later, 20 years later. Some of those people I've seen that when they do embrace that, man, their careers, where they are in life, you're just like, so that consistency is so admirable and impressive.
Absolutely.